What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Masters of the Air, the new World War II drama series out now on Apple TV Plus, the spiritual follow-up to HBO's Band of Brothers and the Pacific. HBO is out, Apple is in. This has been a long in the making, 10 plus years. Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks still involved from the producing side of things. And this has been a long time coming. One of the biggest show on Apple, $200+ million budget. Long time coming for sure. And also has a lot of star power coming into it. Starring Austin Butler, Callum Turner, and Barry Keoghan. Some other familiar faces will pop up as well. And yeah, I think there was a lot of hype and anticipation for this because Band of Brothers specifically and also the Pacific have really kind of, I think, ingratiated themselves as core, like dad core stuff just because of how high level those shows were. Of course, seeing the European theater from the Army's perspective, Band of Brothers, the Pacific theater's perspective with the Pacific, and now, of course, Masters of the Air taking us into the sky, the airplane perspective. Now, this is not about fighter pilots. This is about bombers, specifically the 100th Bomb Group, as they arrive in England to begin, going out on raids, attacking Nazi German targets. This is in 1943. We're still about a year before D-Day, so the war has not yet really turned. And this series is directed by Cary Fukunaga, Anna Boden Ryan Fleck, Dee Reese. You got a lot of directorial talent there, and I think largely it looks pretty good. It's certainly period accurate. The bomber jackets look great on the guys, you have to say. The scenes up in the sky, even though obviously they didn't fly, vintage B-17s to film this. This was not filmed like Top Gun. Nonetheless, I think the scenes look pretty good in terms of filming cockpit scenes and then using, stagecraft VFX to simulate the sky. It looks compelling, and I'm certainly interested. To me, honestly, no matter how I felt about this, I was probably going to see it through just because I think Austin Butler and Barry Keoghan are must watch right now on TV. Callum Turner, this is actually time for him. Of course, The Boys in the Boat, pseudo holiday hit. The guy's dating Dua Lipa right now. He's never been any hotter. So good for that. Good for him. Good for Callum Turner. And really, it's him and Butler are the leads. Barry Keoghan's more of a supporting character. I wish he was in it more. 2 episodes out now on Apple. And Butler, very much kind of doing the cool Steely Reserve performance. You can hear there's a hint of Elvis in the voice still. This was filmed a few years ago. And I think they're kind of in leadership roles. The three stars here. And I think from what I gather from the first 2 episodes, I'm curious how deep it goes into the character, because it's hard to really connect and know where you're at in the heat of battle up in the sky as these bombers are fending off Nazi fighter planes, trying to take them down, trying to not get shot by the flak from the ground below. But similar to Dunkirk or Mad Max Fury Road or something, when your lead characters all have face masks on their face and flight caps on, and they're in confined spaces, in this case the bombs, it's hard to maintain narrative coherence at times. And as dramatic things happen, right? Planes are going down, people are getting shot through the plane and dying, right? Bad things are happening. It's hard to know exactly and track exactly what's going on moment to moment. And I think that's just kind of the overall challenge of portraying something like this. Again, because these B-17s, they're so immobile as a big ass plane dropping bombs that it's a lot more static. So I'm curious how that's going to feel, and if we get deeper with any of our characters. There's other characters in the cast too. Anthony Boyle, who plays this nauseous, nervous navigator airman, who also is a narrator of the series. Yes, there is narration. We'll see how that feels as the series continues. I know to come, it's in the trailer, there's going to be a nod to the Tuskegee Airmen. Nkuti Gatwa is going to be on the series. You hope that that's not just a token acknowledgement, and there's actually exploring in depth, spending time with that versus it feeling tacked on. A lot of the advanced reviews have not had two kind things about that inclusion, kind things to say about that inclusion. We also know there's like kind of like detoury things to come. The first two episodes is basically just going on a bunch of missions, like two missions really. And I think a lot of it's like quite harrowing, and it's like filmed, really well. I'm just curious if like the overall narrative will be able to carry and sustain itself over the course of the series. Either way, obviously I'm going to watch it. Like I'm into it, but I think the question is just if these characters were able to delve deeper into them. Callum Turner's character, a guy who kind of has anger issues, drink issues at times, more of a loose cannon than Butler, who seems very cool and collected. Will they come to a head at some point? Like what's going on? Like I just hope that the heat of the battle stuff will feel like you get more invested in it. So we'll see. Obviously, it's early in the run of the show. Also, kind of coming at a cool time because Steve McQueen's Blitz, starring Saoirse Ronan, will be coming out. End of the year as an awards contender. That's of course about the bombing of Britain. So kind of a tandem. Two releases there. Interesting. We'll see how those compare. Obviously, we have high hopes for any Steve McQueen work. I think the crash landing scene in episode 1 was really cool. You get a lot more of Keoghan in episode 2. The bar fight with the British officer was really fun. The ground crew detour, I don't know if like that's something we necessarily need. I think we need to spend more time with our lead guys and like their core crews. And I think maybe as the 100th bombing group, like as they like do runs with other groups, I wonder if that'll like feel like you'll be able to keep like that straight in the mind as the viewer. We'll see. So I have some thoughts, some reservations on structure, but overall I think the action is compelling, and I just like the leads enough that I want to keep going. So Masters of the Air, I'm happy it's finally here. Feels a bit weird that this is not on HBO. It is in fact on Apple, nonetheless. I guess you can tell a little bit. Doesn't feel quite as gritty and grimy. I'll be curious what it feels like if we spend some time on the ground in ground combat. If guys get captured, things like that, we'll see. But yeah, let me know. How'd you feel about Masters of the Air through 2 episodes? What are you most looking forward to seeing? And for more TV reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.